are still dancing. I love that music. You know, Warwick, who's in the back there, on the other side of the garage somewhere, behind a million cords, puts the music up loud so we all get in the mood. And yeah, I kind of got a bit lost in the mood. But good morning and welcome, guys. It's 11 o'clock. It's Thursday. This is your Builders Masterclass, and I am delighted to be with you. Sure. Spring is nearly here. Can you hear it? It's nearly here, guys. It's nearly here. We've got a few more dark days to get through, literally and figuratively. But the sun always rises tomorrow. It always rises. And the sunsets at the end of the day are sometimes the most beautiful. I hope your gardens are ready for spring. I really, really, really do. And when I say that, I'm like, I hope you've composted and mulched over the winter. If you haven't, do it now. I hope that you have planted all your bedding. And when I talk about bedding, I'm talking about your primulas, your pansies, your violas, your delphiniums, your foxgloves. This is spring, guys. I can smell it. I can sniff it in the air. The days are getting longer. We're not arriving home and it's dark. And with that comes beautiful new beginnings. And I can't wait for it. And I hope that you are ready as well. Guys, today we are talking fruit trees, all things fruit trees. It's a big topic. It's a really big topic. We have touched on it in some previous lives, but I'm going to hold your hand and I'm going to take you through this. And there's some very simple things that we mess up, and it's kind of like, when we hear about it, it's like, doff, what was I doing? So we're going to hold your hand and we're going to get you there. But before I get into anything, I got to say hello and let's see what's going on. Let's see. I saw it started going mad like about 30-40 seconds before we went live. So let's see who's here. Kathy, good morning from Lone Hill in Joburg. Avril van den Bosch, good morning from Cowie's Hill. Why not? Okay, I don't understand that. That's like shorthand. I'm not good at that. Bronwyn, good morning from Josie. Patricia, your apricot tree has flowers on it. I know. It's coming. Sarah's just joined us. Sarah from Durbanville. Belinda from Azersfontein. Oh, now that's a lovely part of the world. Azersfontein. Oh, those beaches. Your soil's a bit of a problem, but we're going to get to that as well. I'm going to touch on that today. Vanessa, good morning. Gail from Pennington. Oh, looks like rain. Gail, dance immediately, dance. We so need rain. Get out there, run naked in the garden, just do something, but we need rain, guys. We need rain. The Cape has had enough, by goodness, but by golly, I am so happy because the dams are full. It means you're going to have a good summer. It's going to be spectacular. We just need some rain in some other parts, and yeah, I've been on my knees, and we're still waiting for it. So best you all help me and get on your knees as well. Let's see. Lee is here from the KZN South Coast. Good morning, Lee. Joanne. Okay, your lemon's got an issue. Okay, but never mind. We'll get to that too. Kerry from Bloberg. Carol from Kleinmont. Ellen from Pietermaritzburg. Reggie Naidu. Your first time. Well, welcome. Welcome to a masterclass. And remember, if you want to go back and check out some others, you just go onto the Facebook feed, on that thing, and then scroll back, back, and then you'll see some of the other masterclasses that we've had. And in between all that, you are going to see some amazing videos, DIYs, that Builders has put together for you to help you along your homemaking journey and your gardening journey. Janine, yes, your poor gardener still tried to recover from the flooding. Oh, Janine, we're like farmers. It's either too much rain, too little rain, it's too hot, it's too cold. So yeah, we've got to, sometimes I have a saying to my plants and to my people and my friends and my family. And if any friends and family or my plants are listening, I say to them, you got to put on your Bridget Joneses. Okay, your Bridget Joneses, your big girl panties. And we got to get through it. And we must be happy with what we are given. Because sometimes, most times, there's always a silver lining. But Wendy, good morning, Rowena. Good morning as well. Janine is there, have I said? Alta, good morning. Maureen Donaldson. Yes, I believe I shouldn't say Maureen Francis, as I normally say, because that, I believe, is your second name. But you did alert me to that. So, Maureen Donaldson, good morning. Guys, sure. There's lots of you here this morning. Angela's just joined us. Colin Nika. Guys, it's wonderful to have you all with us. Okay, let's have a look. A lot on Facebook. Some of you on YouTube. But we got loads of you on Facebook. Okay, right. Folks, let's talk fruit trees. Now, couple of things that you got to know and that we've got to get you in tune with. First of all, a fruit tree, and this is the first thing I need to do, a fruit tree is a tree. Okay, yes, you might know this, you probably do know this, but I want to point out the obvious, that a fruit tree is a tree and doesn't necessarily need to be sent on its merry way into the veggie garden or into that corner where like nothing happens in the garden. Where should we plant the fruit tree? Oh, over there. It doesn't have to be like that. And especially if you've got a small garden, if you've got limited space, why not incorporate your fruit tree into your garden beds? Yeah. Our street trees should be lined with fruit trees. Because it does everything that a tree does. Shelter, shade, place for the birds, for the lizards, for the insects. If it's deciduous, lets through beautiful winter light. Flowers. But the big bonus is fruit. It's fruit. And the more economy, the world, the madness gets out of control, the more we should be taking control. Ownership, guys. Ownership. And when I talk about that, I had to, we had to break a bit off because I couldn't bring the tree here. But this is the harvest that is about to come. This is the beautiful harvest of some delicious kumquats. And it's a wonderful tree. It's a smallish tree, which means it's great for small gardens. It's brilliant in pots. It looks good all year round. It never has a bad hair day. It really looks good all year round. And then coming into late winter and into early spring, it has this abundance of amazing little oval-shaped fruit, which are yummy. Now, you've probably eaten kumquat jam, or you've probably eaten kumquat preserve. And if you had an oma, not a granny. Grannies, I don't think, did this. If you had an oma, she would have made you kumquat preserve. And when you take that whole kumquat out of that dripping, sugary, juicy, yummy, I always take more, and you pop that onto a piece of cheese. Yeah, the world stops. But these are like my living sourworms. So I'm a sourworm addict. I am. Sourworms and chocolate together, really a nice combo. Yeah, sometimes biltong as well, not all together. But anyway, that's another story. But kumquats, like when I'm walking around the garden, this is a sourworm fix, and I'm going to eat it, and it's going to make me go mad, because kumquats have this sweety, juicy, a little bit of a already meikiva, my vanga, they're going like that, because it is packed with vitamin C, it's packed with fiber, it's yummy, it's juicy, it's like a snack on the run, and I eat it with the skin. Yeah, I eat it skin and all, because it's so delicious. Oh. Oh, it's delicious. And look at all the juice. Look at all that juice. Yeah, I eat the whole thing. So, okay. Oh, yumma. Okay. Anyway. So, that was delicious. Okay. So, fruit trees. Okay. Consider incorporating them into your garden, because one of the biggest reasons why your fruit trees don't do well is because they put at that end of the garden, which means out of sight, out of mind. So they're not getting the TLC that they need. Okay? Whereas if you had incorporated them into your garden beds, they're probably going to get a whole lot more love. And love, nurturing, equals abundance of fruit, reward. Okay. Before you decide to buy your fruit tree, what I do want you to do is make sure you've done some research. So one of the best research mechanisms that I can recommend anytime, anywhere, whether you live in Pofadder, Parijs, or whether you're in Paternoster, is to get in your car and drive around. Get in the car. You remember families used to do Sunday drives. Well, my family used to. And we're going to go and visit auntie and uncle. And we'd get in the car and we'd go. And we'd always have to go and visit the same ones that would drive me mental. I hope they're not listening. But anyway. And we go for Sunday drives. But if you want to do research, get in your car and drive. And look what is growing around you in your community. That is one of the best forms of research that you can do. There's always a garden club. And you've got to find the hoofmeisie. So there's a hoofmeisie of every garden club. That's the one who knows everything. She's the head girl. And you find out from her which are the good gardens, and then you go and invite yourself for tea, and you make sure that you then check out what fruit trees she's got growing, because you know if they're growing in her garden, they'll do well in your garden. So do the research. And if you've got a 4x4 or one of those semi 4x4s, those cars that look like a 4x4 but they're not, even better, because you're slightly higher and you can look over the walls, especially if you stand on the ledge. I don't know how I know that. I have no idea how I know that information. But really, if you're just on that ledge where the door opens and you can just tippy-toe over, you can see everything. Okay, so that's the bit of research. I want you to do that. Most importantly, once you've made your purchase, and about that purchase, there are a couple of things I want to point out. So, when you are going to buy your fruit tree, I want you to have time on your hands. When you go into your local builders and you've decided, you've done your research, I'm going to buy, today is day for a lemon tree. And by the way, you can't have one lemon tree. You need two, at least, minimum, in your garden. So we're going to decide, I'm now on my way, I'm going to go and buy something. So you're going to look at the tree. I want you to observe the following, guys. I need you to observe the following. I want you to look at the stem. Is it a nice straight stem? Okay. Yes, tick. Is there any dieback on the tree? Oh, what's going on here? Yes, not a good sign. What are the leaves looking like? Are they lush? Are they green? Are they deep green? If that is the case, yes, tick. Does it have a stake in it? Is it a firm tree? 100%. Yes, tick. And what is the soil like? Is it in a good bag? Is the bag looking relatively new? So in other words, not old and it's been torn. Those are the things I want you to observe. It's common, simple things that I want you to look at, because a young, good, vigorous tree is ultimately going to determine how good it's going to become in the end. Okay, so I want you to, it's practical stuff, guys. This is not rocket science. Straight stem, green leaves, no signs of disease or dieback. That's the boykie you want. Okay, right. Next up, when you've done that, you've got your tree. I want you to also buy one, and especially if it's during the spring or summer months, that's showing some flushes. Okay, flushes of growth, because it means that vigor is there. Now, when we plant a tree, this, besides your purchase, is your next most important act. Because when you plant it, you are planting it once. Only once. You know, it's not like you can go back and say, oh, well, I didn't do that right. Okay, I'll go back and fix that. No, you've got one time to plant it. And this is going to determine how well your tree is going to do. Okay, so we're going to go through some basics. We're going to go through some basics, and some of you might think you've got it right or might have done it in a certain way, but the next time you're going to plant a fruit tree, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to go across to the whiteboard because I want to do the drawing and I want to show you exactly how it should be done. Okay, so come along with me here, guys, and we're going to keep this really simple, because this is, as they say, where things can go wrong. All right, bought your fruit tree, looking gorgeous, fantastic. Now, when you dig your hole, all right, when you dig your hole, it's a big hole. Now, Mason, just cruise down to this bag over here. Now, this bag is about 30 centimeters in height. The standard rule when digging your hole is double the depth of the bag and double the width of the bag. And let me tell you, when you start digging, you're going to realize how big that hole is. I promise you, that will be a surprise for you. Double the depth and double the width. This is important. Do it properly, please. And if it means it takes you 3 days to dig the hole, that's also fine. Just do it. Do it slowly, do it properly, because the reward is in the future. Okay, always, always there. Okay, right, so we've dug the hole. When you remove the soil out here, I want you to do the following. I want you to take some of the soil and make a pile over there, and some of the soil you make a pile over there. Okay, right, all of this is now there. Okay, can you see that soil? I'm not very good at drawings. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is as follows. In this heap, okay, in the one pile, you are going to add the following. Compost. Yes. You're going to add in bone meal. At least 2, 3, 4 handfuls, okay, big handfuls, because you can't add too much. You can't. It's organic. It provides calcium. It helps with rooting. It helps with strength. And remember, roots is what we want initially. Rooting, rooting, rooting. If you don't want to use bone meal and you're worried that the dogs are going to come and dig up your fruit tree, then you use superphosphate. That does the same thing as bone meal, except obviously it's not an organic product. Right. But also you can't add too much of your superphosphate. All right. Compost, bone meal, or superphosphate. And the next thing that you're going to add is 1 or 2 handfuls of 232. 232 is the fertilizer you use in all initial planting. bed preparation, in anything. So this can be alternated or not alternated. This can be replaced by an organic product, which could be something like Atlantic all-purpose, okay, or any other general organic planting food. All right, so those there. Now, what these do is they are going to encourage, once again, do you see that big number there? Is for roots. Roots, the middle number is for roots. So you see this number and that number, which is for greening and flowering. It's not big, it's low. It's a low number. But that is what we want. Okay, so we've got compost, bone meal, 232, or we replace that with an organic. Okay, you've got that. I'm going to take that off because it's very untidy and it's messing with my drawing here. Looks like a spider ran across my whiteboard. Okay, so we've got that. What you've done now is you have mixed that into here. Okay, into the one side, the one pile. You're then going to take a third of this and you're going to put it in the bottom of the hole. Okay, quick tip. Guys, if you've got a very clay soil, some areas, Maritzburg, Cape Town, Joburg, KZN, there are areas with very high clay content in the soil. How do you know that? Okay, have a look here. I'm going to show you. Here are some examples of clay soil and a good soil and a kind of okay soil. So I took this out the garden this morning. You can see this is clay. Look at it. I put this little trowel in. Oh, look. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. Oh, there you go. Oh, hello, my boy. Hello. Hello. See. Dude. Yeah, signs of life. Isn't it amazing how they pretend to be dead? Okay, right, I'll put you in the good soil. Clay soil. How do we know it's clay soil? Look, it's thick, it's clumpy. I can turn it into a ball and I can use this to throw at the neighbor. No, only pretending. This is clay soil. Fruit trees in general do not like a heavy clay soil. One of the biggest problems with fruit trees that we find is drainage. They need a good drainage, which is often why you see, and pay attention to this, next time you're driving somewhere where there's farmlands and they're growing maybe oranges or naartjies or lemons, have a look at how they've planted them. They've actually planted them on hills. So they make like a berm, and then they plant them on top, purely for drainage. Okay, but we can't go doing that in our gardens now, making these big hillsides and stuff. Might look a bit odd. So I'm going to get to the solution now. Clay, okay, an okay-ish soil. This is not bad. It's okay. It can be fixed, and this will be fine to plant in. Crumbly, beautiful dark content. You'll see it's not as red. There's red in here, and you can actually see the clay. You can see the bits, but very, very heavy as well. This is the perfect soil. Loamy, crumbly, still has a bit of hold in it. That is fantastic because that'll be good, well draining. Now, of course, we aren't all blessed to have the most amazing soil, but that's okay. That is why we are doing this. But if you have got heavy, heavy clay, guys, what I want you to do at the bottom of the planting hole is to add in a good thick layer of gravel. Okay, ordinary gravel. And don't buy the fancy ones that you should be using in your garden. Just get a bag at Builders of that blue stone that they use for building. You can just use that. But make sure, please, if you've got a heavy clay soil, that you put a thick layer of gravel. When I say thick layer, at least 5 to 7 centimeters. Okay. No, dude. No, he's escaping. Okay, stay there. Sit. Not very well behaved. Needs to go some more discipline lessons. Okay, so if you have got a badly draining soil, remember we're going to have the gravel over here. Okay, then you put a third of this beautiful mixture in. Then what you're going to do is put your fruit tree in. Okay, so you're going to put your fruit tree in, but what is very important, guys, is this. is that the bag that it came in, okay, is never buried too deep. Do you see this layer here? It must never be up to its neck. Try and keep it at least just maybe 2 or 3 centimeters above that layer of the bag that it originally came in. It is so, so important. Okay, so when you take the bag, when you take the soil off the bag, or the bag off the, what am I talking about? When you take the bag off the plant, okay, very often we do this outside the planting hole. Okay, I don't want you to do that. If this is the bag that your plant has come in, I want you to put the bag in the hole with the plant, and then take a scissors or a knife, and I want you to cut a slit up the side, a slit up the side, and a slit there. You can even just do a little circle around it. This side falls down, that falls down, and then you simply just pull it out. In that way, you're not disturbing the roots. Very often, if you do this exercise outside the planting hole, pick it up, what happens? Poof! Everything falls down, and these roots are all there. You know the plant's going to go through shock now. You know, like it's just like poof, it's naked now. All right? So then you're going to remove the bag. What you're then going to do is you're going to add the remaining soil that you have pimped back in, and you should get to about there. Okay? Because all the nutrition is now here. Oh, just where we want it, in the root zone. Okay? Next step is as follows, and I'm actually just going to draw that. So now we've got hole, donk, donk, we've got our plant. Okay, there it is. We've still got this pile of soil, and we filled up to about here. You're now going to take that soil, and you're going to fill it up. And then the remaining soil that's left, you're going to make a little berm, a little well. You're going to make a little well around it, all the way around the tree. And with that, which means when you water, the water's going to stay trapped. Okay? When you fertilize, it's going to be there. You've got more control. It's designated, under control. That's what I want you to do. And finally, the final step that you're going to do is on here, but not by the stem. So it's going to go like that. Is what I want you to do is add a thick layer of mulch. Stay there, Mason. I'm just going to get the mulch quickly. This is what I want you to add. Around your tree, once you've planted it, a beautiful thick layer of mulch. Now this is we've used a shredder, and we've cut up a lot of stuff in the garden. This has just been left and started semi-composting, but this is the thick 2 to 3 centimeters we're going to place around on that naked soil. It's going to hold the moisture. It's going to feed the soil. Plus, when we fertilize, it's going to all add amazing goodness. That, my folks, is planting. Now, one added thing I am going to add. If you're planting into a pot, okay, because a lot of people want fruit trees in pots, and I get it, and I think they're fantastic. If you are planting into pots, you're going to do the following. It's going to be half compost, half potting soil. Okay. And you're going to follow the same thing, except you're not going to have that 1/3 left. But that is going to be your full mixture. But especially in containers, and if you are going to be planting a tree and your soil is not good. In other words, very sandy. Very, very sandy. And as you water, the water just like goes away. Sometimes you have that like oil look on top of it. You water this morning and you go back there like 2 hours later and it's dry. Then I really need you to add some of that stuff, guys. This is Hydrocash. It's a water retaining gel. And I cannot explain to you how important it is that you add this to your soil. The fruit tree growers do this, especially if it is in very poor soil that is very, and you might be saying, but Tanya, you told me we need well draining. Yes, we need well draining, but we also can't let it dry out too much. And in here, guys, is some Hydrocash that had a bit of moisture in it, had some water. And what you do is you either add the Hydrocash, which I've shown you before, Guys, you either add it dry when you are mixing this pile here. Okay, you either add it dry, and when I mean dry, this is what it looks like over here. Okay, that's it there. You're either going to add that dry into your soil, into your compost and that you've added, or what you're going to do is you are going to turn it into a liquid. Okay, and I quite like this part. And you can see by adding a bit of water to this, look what's happened here. It just sucks up all the water, guys. And imagine now that you have sprinkled this over your soil, you've mixed it all in, and it's looking amazing. And this is what you're going to add to the bottom of your planting hole. So when your plant needs moisture, when your fruit trees, your feeder roots are looking for it, bang, they're going to just take the moisture out of here and supply it to the roots. Very easy. This is a no-brainer. Okay, right, I believe there's some questions. So that's planting, guys. And then, of course, a very good watering. Let's have a look. I believe there's some questions, so let's get on to it. Where are you? Gail, I planted a lemon tree this week and added bone meal and compost, but no 232. Can I add it on top now? Yes, 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 you can. And I would add 2 small handfuls, sprinkle it around the top. And this is another important thing. On a newly planted tree, when fertilizing, we always talk about the root zone and the drip zone of a tree. Now, pretend I'm a tree, okay? There are my outer leaves there. This is the gorgeous, sexy trunk, okay? And if I do this all the way around, you see that mark I've made with my outer hands up to my trunk? That is called the feeding zone. That's where the roots are going to be. So you fertilize from there to here, all over there. So when they say 2 handfuls, you're going to make sure that those 2 handfuls are sprinkled all in that area. And the bigger your tree gets, of course, the bigger your mulch zone is going to become. Remember, our mulch zone with the newly planted tree was only about that big, but the bigger it's going to become, because that's going to help your tree. Okay, Tanya Stain, good morning. Can you use eggshells instead of bone meal? Negative. But I would use both. I would certainly add the eggshells in, but eggshells do not replace bone meal. Bone meal, remember, is basically crushed bones. It is an important form of phosphates, of calcium as well, and other micronutrients. And personally, I'd actually rather keep the eggshells to ward off the snails, put them to better use. Yeah, that would be my take. Anne says, my curry leaf tree is turning spotty and yellow. Ooh, okay, right, got you. I'm going to answer you now. My lemon tree still has its lemons from last season, never went yellow. Ooh, okay, your lemon tree is needing something. Okay, and I'm going to touch on basic fertilizing now, and that's going to touch on the curry leaf. Let's see what the next question is. Which fruit trees would you recommend for smaller yards? Also those, should the root ball of the fruit trees and rose shrubs be dipped in Root Pro? Yes, you can, 100%. 100%. But what you can also do, they don't need to be dipped, because it's like a big bag, okay? A big bag to then go dipping it in. So what I would recommend that you do is, once you've planted your tree, okay, once you've planted it, and your first watering, you're going to use some EcoBuzz Root Pro, which you will find at your local builders near the seed section, hanging up there. You're going to dilute that, 1 little sachet, 5 liters of water, and you're going to inoculate it. The other thing, and I've been going on about drainage, is because some fruit trees are quite susceptible to root diseases, which is why the inoculation with Root Pro is undeniably must be done. Okay, but thank you for the reminder. Okay, let's talk quickly, because this is going to help with the curry leaf, with the lemon, is feeding. Okay, so feeding, guys, there are various things that you can use. And what I always say is folks, just use something. And your fruit trees need to get fed every 6 weeks. Make a note, put a message on your phone, remind yourself as to when they need to get fed. The organic options are broad. You can use Atlantic Fruit and Flower, okay? Nice and simple, organic, pelletized, easy. Sprinkle it round. Another great organic alternative is Talborn's 315. But now notice the change in the number from when we were simply planting. Now, this end number has got much bigger. Ah, that makes sense because that's the potassium. Potassium gives you strength and it promotes flowering and fruiting, which is why we're looking at a 315. The 5 is important for fruit trees. Here we go, once again. This is the Stark Airs 315 organic. Also important, look, big number 5 at the end. So that is important, guys, for your feeding regime. And I would strongly recommend that you take a look at these, and that is what I want you to choose. And you follow the instructions on the back, because on the back of the bag, it'll tell you if your plant's this big, this is how much you must give it. If it's that big, that's how much you must give it. And the lemon tree, the colouring, the curry leaf tree, they need food. There's another thing that goes wrong in fruit trees, and it's very, very common. And I'm going to show you an example of that right over here. Let me get you a leaf or two, and I'm going to show you what it is. And this is called chlorosis. Look at these leaves. And I'm going to make a quick comparison. Look at that. Look at these leaves. And I am going to take one or two of these leaves off. Look at those leaves in comparison to those leaves. Tell me which is the healthier. Look, this looks like a gecko. It looks like it hasn't seen the sun. It's come from Antarctic. It's pale. There are yellow spots. There's nothing consistent. Something's wrong here. This guy, dark green, healthy, no splotches. You can see the veins very distinctly. That is healthy. That is unhealthy. This plant needs food. It's desperate for food. If that plant could pick itself up and take you to your garage wherever your fertilizer is hidden and just feed itself a bit, it would be happier. But together, if you haven't been feeding, you can also find that your plant is lacking in some micronutrients. Micronutrients, one of the most common that we find as a lack of is iron. Iron is one of your micronutrients that is important in a whole lot of things. It's important in photosynthesis. It's also important cell development and a supporting act in fruit and flower development. So by remedying your plant with iron chelate, it's really simple, guys. It's like 5 grams into litre water. When you're watering your plant, you water it. This will go away. That will go away. And you can't expect a tree that's looking like it's firing on 1 cylinder out of the 6 to then still give you flowers, which is followed by fruit. Okay, so we've got to feed them. Now, should we fertilize even during the winter? If your plants are deciduous, if you have deciduous fruit trees, you cut off, you back off on your fertilizing. Your last fertilizing will be in autumn. Let them rest, let them rest. You're going to do your pruning, and then come now, end of July, dan gooi jy, sis, dan gooi jy. Okay, and then you get them going. Pat, I need to transplant our olive tree. Is this advisable as it's really grown well? And Pat, that's going to be you can do it. You 100% can do it, but when you do it, please do it. I'm going to do it like I would do it. Like no. I would do it no. When you dig it, try and dig it and get a big root ball. Try and keep that root ball as close and keep it intact as possible. So when you do remove it out the hole, have a bag or a sack that you can, you're not putting it into the sack, that you can then have your tree in it, okay? And then you're just going to like wrap it up so you can carry it like this. You can carry the tree so that it's not going to, the soil's not going to fall away from it. Rowena wants to know, do I need to put stones at the bottom of my fruit containers as well? Yes, 100%. Normal planting method. Gravel, stones, or broken up chips of a terracotta pot, and then your compost mix with your potting soil. I just need a bit of water here. Nigel asks, is it possible to put hydrocash to the soil after planting? My tree has been in for a while now. Nigel, you can put it in. It's not as effective, obviously, but you certainly can. And the way that you do it is as follows. So if this is your soil, okay, there's your soil. What I want you to do is get a long stake or something. I'm sure I've got a stake around here or something. Let's have a look. What will do the job here? Okay, never mind. Okay, take a stake, a wooden stake or something, and I want you to knock that into the soil. Knock it into the soil around the plant, okay? Move it, move it, move it, move it. So you're making a little haiki. You're going to put in the dry hydrocash. Fill that hole with the dry hydrocash, cover it up with a bit of soil. Do that in intervals all the way around the tree. So when you're watering, it is still absorbing and the plant's roots will find their way to the source of water. That's how nature works. Okay, so give that a bash. I put a nail in the roots when planting my Bruce. I put a nail in the roots when planting my fruit trees. Does that work for iron? Bruce, it's a very good question. I'm just winding you up. So in the olden days, and probably in your granny's garden, my granny's garden had this. I would walk around and they had avocado pear trees, mango trees, whatever. And the tree would be full of nails, big 6-inch nails like this. Gwah, gwah, gwah. And they did that to provide the plant with a source of iron. Okay, although there are far more humane ways of providing iron and micronutrients to your fruit trees by not having to drive 6-inch nails into its xylem and phloem, which is, of course, iron chelate that I spoke about, and giving it a good thick mulch, and, of course, providing it with good frequent amounts of fertilizer. Okay, so no nails, no more nails. Right. Suzette, my mom's narchi tree has fruit, narkies, looks beautiful, but the fruit is super sour. Aha! Okay, so let's get on to the next part of our conversation where I'm going to answer this. My lime trees have been put in, hold on. Wait. My lime tree has been in a pot for about 5 years and gave beautiful fruit last few years. Besides Atlantic Palace, what should I use to add to the pot to get the fruit going again? It hasn't had new... Okay, so it needs more food. Okay, so remember, 4 to 6 weeks. Every 4 to 6 weeks. You can't give it a good meal once a year. If I only gave you a good meal once a year, what are you going to look like? True story. Ons het rys, vleis en aardappels nodig. Elke dag. Well, some a bit more than others. So it's important that we're giving a consistent supply of nutrition. And as a point, fruit trees and pots need more water than your fruit trees in the ground. And that just makes common sense. So fruit trees and pots, at least a good watering twice a week. And I mean a good water. Not this, pss, 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 okay? A good 5-10 liters. Let it soak right through. And the way to test if your soil does need water, remember, just do the finger test. Scratch the first 2 centimeters of soil under the mulch. That's where you're going to scratch. If it's dry, it needs water. Okay. So it's important. Fruit trees in pots need more food and more water. Okay. Do that to your narki, and I promise you it won't taste as sour. But there are some anomalies. And that's why sometimes people say to me, oh, fruit trees are so expensive. So expensive. Okay. Now, I'm going to educate you on why they are expensive. Because most of us are impatient creatures. Yes, I get it. And we want the fruit yesterday. Folks, it's very, very important to understand the concept of how fruit trees are created. Over the years and hundreds of years of cultivation, the very clever plant people have worked out that some roots of certain trees are very poor. In other words, they're susceptible to diseases, they're not very good structured roots, so they fall over, big winds come, boof, there the tree goes. So what they've done is for two reasons. They have grafted most of the trees onto a separate rootstock, something that is a bit more vigorous, that's a bit disease resistant, and that's going to provide the plant with the right structure, okay? Another reason is when we grafting trees, and this is what we call the graft union over here, we are able to put the right genetics onto the right root stock. So the clever people have selected a nachi that is juicy, a satsuma, which is beautifully succulent. They've taken that from the mother plant and put one little bud in here, a little bud. That bud then starts growing and it unifies with the rootstock, and you will then have, because they've taken the bud from a mature mother plant, this plant will produce fruit in less than 3 years. Whereas if we grew it from a seed or from a pip, it might take 7 years, 8 years. So we've kind of like circumnavigated, like jumped ahead. Okay, but I want to show you this rootstock because it is fascinating where the bud union is here. And this you will see on a lot of your fruit trees, folks. So, there it is, there it is, there it is. So this is my rootstock over here. And that little bud was put in there. This is called budding tape that I'm removing here. And the budding tape basically just protects it. And very often you'll buy some fruit trees and they still have this on. And it just falls off over time. I'm going to try and gently just remove this because I don't want another stem over here. It does help when you've got nails, doesn't it? But this is important. So and it's a fascinating process, guys. Absolutely fascinating process. Where's my secateurs? This will be better. Okay, the other thing I want to chat to you about, and I really want to just show this to you quickly. So just stay on the line, caller, and just be patient. So I really want you to see what this is here. There. There, it's coming. Because this is one of the most important parts of your tree that you need to protect. And make sure that nothing or anything else that starts growing or shooting below this. Okay, come in close here, Mace, you can see it. There it is. Do you see that scar there? Do you see that scar? Come in nice and close. You can actually see where this was cut and a little bud was put into there, and then it was taped up with this. That is grafting. So very often, if you've had a fruit tree that you might have grown from a pip or that you got from somebody who was growing it via something, in other words, not a grafted one, from your local builders, you will find that a couple of things can go wrong. Number one, the flavor's not so good. Sour, bitter, full of pips because it's not a selected variety. There it is. Look at that. There's your graft union. You can see, there it is, running along there. This was grafted onto there. Anything that grows below this, you need to remove because that is the rootstock. That's not what we want. We want this part up here. Very, very important. So if you see any of those shoots, folks, please, I want you to cut them off, remove them, because that is strong and vigorous and it will overtake. And that's when you bought an orange tree and 5 years later, it's now a rough-skinned lemon. And you're like, oh, what happened? No, this is what happened. That root, that shoot, you didn't prune it off. It took over, it dominates, and eventually it kills what we call the scion, which is the stock that was planted on top of it. Okay, now, I know time is marching, but I want to quickly show you some pruning. Okay, so pruning is important, guys, and it's so important. In your first 3 years of your trees, this is when you can either be a hero, or you're going to end up with an inferior plant. I suppose it's much like kids. It's the informative years. If you treat them and you train them, train sounds terrible. If you treat them and teach them manners and they learn the basics in life, it will hold them in good stead in their adulthood. It's the same with a fruit tree. So I want you to take a look at this. This is a beautiful, beautiful orange. Look, it's in, oh, the blossom. Oh, my word. You see, this should be in the front garden. This should not be in the fruit or the vegetable garden or the herb garden. Imagine this waft coming through onto the patio in the evening. Fantastic. Okay, have a look here once again. Here, see that scar? That is where it was grafted. You can see it there. So anything below this should be removed. Look what's happening here. What's happening here? Oh, do you see? If we left these, because they're below the union, here, it's probably going to end up being a rough-skinned lemon. Caramba. So, no, take them off. They must go. Must go. Next thing, when initially, any fruit tree, all you got to think about is vase shape. That's all we want, vase shape. So look, nice big leader here, nice big leader there. Going on inside here, this could potentially do something, but it's too thick. It is way too thick. So initially what I would do is I would take that out, and you see this here? See, I've got one beautiful big leader there. I've got another big leader there, but I've got something funny going on in here. Do you see that little one? And not enough space between them. So I would prune this off. Okay, take it off. Ah, look at our shape now. Look, beautiful lateral, beautiful lateral, beautiful lateral. And here's our leader. So you want that vase shape and you want space between those. Because remember, where you've got good airflow, you've got less chance of diseases. Plus, where you've got more light, okay, more light means you're going to have more flowers, which means you're going to have more fruit. In your first 3 years, folks, I would recommend that as your fruit starts, and it's the size of a little marble, I would strongly recommend that you remove 50% of the fruit. I know it sounds sacrilege, but you've got to. The plant just simply cannot cope and cannot bear, all right, all of that. It's just too much. So remove 50% and rather have 50 amazing plums than 100 like so-so. Okay, so it's important, please. Very, very important. Now, come along over here, and I want to show you something else. Now, especially with deciduous trees, this is a beautiful plum, I think it is. It's a peach. This is a beautiful peach. Look, it's starting to blossom. Ah, isn't it lovely? Okay, now, deciduous fruit trees, there's a slightly different methodology to them. But still the same concept, and that concept is we want these. Look at this. Do you see that? There it is. Okay. There's another one, but it's going to cross at some point. Okay, so we don't want that. We don't want crossing stems, right? We also don't want any dieback. Here's a beautiful leader there and there. Okay, but this one is definitely too close to there. So we have to make decisions, and we've got to choose. Now, what we generally recommend is when you get your fruit tree that you remove, especially if it's quite spindly, that if your leader is not straight, like this one, and it is a bit late to do this now, but I would still do it. I personally would do the following. I would remove that. Look here. Do you see all of this? I don't want that. It's going crooked. Okay. I would remove that. So now what's going to happen is that's been pruned, 45 degrees, angle cut. We are now going to force this bud to grow out that way. So we're getting that leader, leader, leader. Okay. Thin spindly growth, remove. Not necessary. This branch broke, I'm taking it off. Aha! Can you see what we've got going on here now? Yes. Now we've got there. There. This is going to shoot to go out there. So we've got those spaces. Remember, there's a saying that says if a bird, a swallow, can fly in between your branches, it's a well-pruned tree. Okay. One thing that to encourage, and this works exceptionally well, folks, because we're wanting that open shape, and if some of them are quite close together, but you don't have enough branches, I want you to do the following. It's a tip that's been used for eons, for decades, and it really does work very, very easily. I want you to take a stone or a little terracotta pot, okay, and this helps especially when you've got some fruit coming through and you want to get more light and more air, because remember that aids health. So you just tie this onto a rock or a stone, and then you take your leader, take one of these that are pushing through, take it, and all I want you to do is you're going to tie the pot onto it here and see what happens now. Okay, so best I tie a proper knot because I'm not doing it very properly. Let's do it over here. Okay, so we just tie a little knot here quickly. And you do this with string, guys. You don't do this with wire, please. And what's going to happen is, okay, do you see? Look what's happened. It's opened it up. And you can do that. You can even pull this down and you can tie it onto the ground. But that opens your airflow. Okay. And it's a simple trick that anybody can do. Remember, staking is also important for your fruit trees. Very, very important, especially if you've got heavy fruit. Don't let those branches break, and keep that airflow open. Guys, we haven't got to hojos and nunus, but I'm sure that, I've still got 2 minutes. I'm quickly going to get to hojos and nunus. Quickly. Okay, right, okay, because hojos and nunus happen, whether we like it or not. Okay, whether we like it or not, but I am going to nail this quickly because there are certain things on fruit trees that just happen. They happen in several times. They happen for reasons. Number 1, airflow. Number 2, bad soil. 3, not fed enough, not watered enough. The plant is compromised. Okay, it's lacking in something. So, very, very quickly, I want to show you the basic diseases. Guys, look at this stuff here. Now, this is on an aloe, but you'll find these on your fruit trees. This is mealybug, very, very common, guys. Common on fruit trees, especially if there isn't good enough airflow. And then I want to show you this other stuff that's here. Look at this here. Do you see that there? This black stuff. That, and you see I can scratch it off with my nail. That is called sooty mold. Sooty mold comes along when you have got aphids, mealybug, and even thrips. Because what happens is aphids, which were on this plant at some point, you can be guaranteed. Aphids look like this. Look at these little buggers. They're normally on the tips. Why are they on the tips? Well, because the tips are juicy and yummy. Okay, they take on different colors. They can be black, they can be green, they can be yellow, depending on what they are sucking. Now remember, there it is. Look, there's the sooty mold starting. You see that? Because the aphids come along, they've got this long proboscis, goes into the cell of the plant, starts sucking out the juice. The plant becomes compromised. Then along come the ants. So when you've got sooty mold, you will find that you've probably got ants and you've got aphids. And what happens is the ants actually protect the aphids. The ants are remarkable because the ants take the honeydew, which is basically the excess juice that these aphids suck up. And honeydew is excreted. And the ants love it because it's sweet, juicy, fresh nutrition that's been the juices out of the plant. And what the ants do is they are so clever. They actually, because remember, what is the predator against aphids? Ladybirds. Ladybirds eat aphids. But the ants are so smart that they carry the aphids to different parts of the plant and they farm them. And they keep them away from the ants. True story. Okay? And they protect them. So there are different ways of getting rid of the aphids, but remember, it's the ants that are there. So for the ants, you can just get a piece of stocking, tie that around the base of your fruit tree, and put a bit of Vaseline on there. Okay, that stops the ants from being able to go up. Yeah, do that. The other way that you can then get rid of aphids, and look how fat, I mean, look at his belly. His belly is so fat. Well, you can just squish them with your finger, which I really like doing. You can just squish them. You can get a strong jet of water and blast them, okay? Or you can use various pesticides. And remember, it's always the young foliage that they're attacking, guys. So there are various pesticides, there are organic solutions at your local builders, guys. Organocide Plus is one, Margaret Roberts insecticide, EcoBuzz are others that you can use with confidence on your fruit trees. Another problem is this, Citrusilla, which is embedded on the underside of the leaf with these curly bumps that you see. Guys, if that happens, you can simply cut them off, okay? But if your leaf is like this and you see these little black things underneath, the hoho is still there, okay? So you need to spray with something. I would recommend spraying with oleum, which you spray early in the morning, and basically you smothering this with an oil and then it will die. So folks, that was like the 101 of pest management. But remember, if you do all these other things, the things that I spoke about, the likelihood of you having such horrible infestations is very, very slim. Very slim. But it's about managing and making sure that we've got the right conditions. Guys, I don't know where the hour's gone, but it is zoom past. Remember, guys, if there's anything else you need to know about gardening, get into your local builders that has a garden center. Near the indoor plant section, before you go out those doors, you will find our magazines, The Gardener and Detainee. And remember, everything that I talk to you about at these lives, there's more of that right in here at your fingertips. Guys, do remember that if we haven't answered all your questions, we'll get to those a little bit later. And if you're looking for any more inspiration, whether it be how to put up a shelf or how to use a hammer drill or how to become a better gardener, jump onto the Builder's blog and have a look there. There's oodles of information right there at your fingertips that can help you improve your hobby, your love, and of course, at the end of the day, your life. Guys, thank you so much for being with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been wonderful to see so many regular names coming up. Get out there and plant your fruit tree, because like a tree, the best time to have planted it was yesterday. God bless you all and happy gardening.